Hi, friend, and welcome to the Message Podcast. I'm your host, Katie Graham, a wedding photographer and lifestyle blogger who just launched my own magazine, Your Message Mag. I'm determined to help women just like you lean into the messes of their lives and find the message they have to share. Here we believe that secrecy helps no one, but transparency and vulnerability have the potential to help many. Get ready for some encouragement, to be inspired, and to be given all the tools you need to share the unique message you have to share with those who need to hear it most. This is the Message Podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of Your Message Podcast. Today I'm going to be giving you a sneak peek into the spring issue of Your Message Mag. This issue is going to be coming out at the beginning of March, and I just sent it off for print yesterday. I'm very, very excited about it, and I wanted to give you a sneak peek into this issue. Now, the theme of this issue is living with a heart of gratitude. So the whole issue is just featuring lots of content from other women who have given you what wisdom and guidance and insights they have when it comes to living a life with a heart centered in gratitude. So if this sounds interesting to you and you would like to have a little sneak peek into this upcoming issue, then just keep listening. I always knew emails were important for running a successful business, but there was one catch that kept driving me crazy. I didn't know how to make them look eye-catching or on brand. I didn't know a thing about code or web development, so I assumed I'd have to hire a designer if I wanted beautiful, high-converting emails, which, to be frank, simply wasn't in my budget. I felt at a loss, but then I was introduced to Flowdesk. Flowdesk is an email marketing platform that makes creating beautiful, on-brand, high-converting emails easy. I'm now able to create and send out beautiful on-brand emails in 10 minutes or less. Plus, Flowdesk has a great tool for scheduling out emails in advance, which means I can set it and forget it, which is perfect for my busy schedule of being a full-time mom and running two businesses. Try Flowdesk today to start killing the email game. Go to katielaurengraham.com/Flowdesk for 50% off your subscription price for life. Again, for 50% off your subscription price for life, go to katielaurengraham.com/Flowdesk. Flowdesk. I will also have the link in my show notes. So like I said, this spring issue is focused entirely on gratitude and how you can live a life with a heart centered on gratitude. And I have had two very special women be guest writers for this second issue of Your Message Mag. And the first woman is my dear friend, Callie. Now, I met Callie a little over 2 years ago now, funnily enough, through a comments section on one of Jordan Lee Dooley's posts. Now, if you don't follow Jordan Lee Dooley, you should go follow her on Instagram. She's awesome. And definitely someone to go follow. But I commented on one of her posts, and Callie commented back on my comment, and somehow we got to messaging, and long story short, we ended up just hitting it off. I worked for her for about a year and a half. My husband and Beckley and I, we just traveled out to Colorado to go visit her and her son and her husband, and we've become really great friends. I no longer work for her, but it was such an honor to be able to have her as a ghost writer in this magazine. And so I thought I would read for you a little snippet of her section, just a beginning portion of it, and then if you want to know or read the rest of what she's written, because it's amazing stuff that she's written. I am so happy that she said yes to writing for this issue. Then go ahead and pre-order the copy of Your Message Mag, this spring issue. You can do that at yourmessagemag.com. I will also have it linked in the show notes for this episode. But yeah, I'm going to read you just the beginning of what she wrote. But if you want to know the rest, then go ahead and pre-order this upcoming spring issue. So, Callie's section is called A Heart Centered in Gratitude. And she wrote, I had to pee so bad as I was hiking through a muddy pit of water, which looks like cow crap. My bladder was so full due to the baby inside my tummy pushing on it while hiking behind my husband. As I'm trekking through the cold weather and 10,000 feet of elevation, I couldn't help but think, why the heck did I say yes to this backpacking trip? My warm, cozy bed and a nice bath sounds amazing right about now. In my head, I came up with the best reasons in the world as to why I shouldn't be hiking and why my situation was so miserable. I was convinced I had it terrible. It was cold, I was tired, my shoes and socks were soaked. I wanted a real bathroom and a place to get clean. Are you feeling bad for me too? You know what was so interesting? If you looked at my husband, Kramer, he was having the time of his life, living his dream and so excited about where he was and all that he was doing in that moment. Yet you take the woman right next to him, yours truly, and I was a miserable mess having the complete same experience externally, but internally 100% different than my husband. The one thing about gratitude that I've learned, and I'm still learning every day, is this. You can put two people in the same scenario, and the two will come out with completely different outcomes, all because of how they've shifted their perspective. Gratitude isn't something that magically will just come to you all of the time. I believe it's like a muscle you have to work out and constantly train yourself to have an eye and heart towards gratitude. The Bible is truly the best book out there with ancient wisdom that'll never lead us astray. So let's take a look at what the scripture says when it comes to gratitude. So that's just a very beginning snippet of Callie's piece that she wrote for this magazine. Again, if you would like to read the rest of what she wrote, which I highly recommend you do, then go ahead and order the copy of Your Message Mag, the spring issue, that is. Also, if you want to follow Callie, you can follow her on Instagram at Callie Ammons. I'll have that linked below, as well as having her website and her email linked below. She is an Enneagram coach and a realtor out in Colorado, and she just has her hands in a lot of different things, and is definitely someone that I would recommend checking up on, following up on, following. Yeah, she's amazing. So let's take a look at another one of the guest writers for this spring issue, and her name is Abbey Sofel. I ended up shooting her wedding, which was how I initially really got to know her. I got to know her as her wedding photographer. And, just over time, we just had enough connections where we just kept bumping into each other, and we knew enough of the same people that we just kept having this connection develop. And now I'm very glad to say that we're really great friends, and I love her dearly. And so thankfully, she also said yes when I asked her to be a guest writer for this issue of Your Message Mag. She has a woman with a lot of wisdom, and when it comes to gratitude, she's someone who's well practiced in exercising the muscle of gratitude. So let's read a quick snippet of the beginning of what she wrote as well. Abby's piece is called Arriving Home, and she writes, "When I stood in the shower, if I let my gaze drift upward, I could see a border of mold dotting the bathroom ceiling. The kitchen floor was carpeted, and if I had a cleaning staff, they would vacuum the entire room after every use. Shockingly, the bathroom floor was also carpeted, which I can only assume was the source of a slightly musty smell and a spongy spot near the shower. When my husband and I laid in bed, we could hear the scratching of tiny feet scurrying through the ceilings and walls. This was the calling card of the resident squirrel we semi-affectionately named Grumpy due to his effect on my mood. When I envisioned the first year of my marriage, I pictured a small yet charming apartment. It would be a blank slate, a place to embody our tastes and interests. It would be a physical representation of the new life and love we were building together. We would be taking our place in a new city, reveling in the bigness and novelty. Instead, we settled into life in our own hometown, only temporarily, we told ourselves. Unable to find the shiny new apartment of my dreams, we began renting a home that belonged to a family member. I was overwhelmed with relief just to have a place to live. It came fully furnished. The general aesthetic was clunky pieces, not quite old enough to be antique, but desperately out of any style, not to mention my own. There was a shockingly imaginative array of floral wallpapers and brown trim throughout the house, but I consoled myself with the fact that it was only temporary. Nearly 2 years later, I was still longing to create a home that felt like our own. My dream starter home had a minimalist coffee shop around the corner, and I could take public transit. Instead, we lived at a dead end, and the only storefront within walking distance was a convenience store. The dream of our place or a new place still lingered in my heart. My dissatisfaction with my environment has been an undercurrent throughout these first years of marriage. Despite the beauty of the relationships and circumstances around me, my physical setting was the if only I continued to return to. I began to believe the setting of my story was reflective of the quality of my story. So that's the beginning of what Abbey wrote in her section called Arriving Home. And again, if you would like to read the rest of what she wrote, I highly recommend that you go to yourmessagemag.com and pre-order this spring issue that is coming out at the beginning of March. All right, and then I also wrote a section, and it's called A Lesson in Gratefulness. And I'm just going to read you the first 2 paragraphs of this section. As the deadline approaches for submitting this issue for print, I'm hit with the reality that it is my turn to share what wisdom I have on gratefulness. It's no secret that I have a knack for sharing about topics that I'm personally struggling with or working through, and gratefulness is no different. I struggle with gratefulness daily, hourly, sometimes by the minute. I'm not writing this from a position of be like me or do what I say or look how superior I am. I'm writing from a position of struggle and desiring for you to know that if you also fail to feel gratitude from time to time, you aren't alone. So, if you want to know the rest of what I wrote, then again, you know what to do. Go ahead and pre-order a copy of the spring issue of Your Message Mag, and you'll be able to read all of these amazing stories. Also in the magazine, there are 2 recipes for 2 of my favorite spring meals. One spring meal that I love to have and one spring dessert that it's the only dessert I can really honestly make. So I would highly recommend that you get the magazine as well for those. And there's just so many wonderful, wise tidbits within this magazine. And the whole point, as you know, of this magazine is to encourage you, to encourage women to find the message in their mess. And this magazine features 2 amazing women who have been able to look at their lives and see the messes they found themselves in and realize what the message is. And my hope is that by them sharing vulnerably what they have learned, the message that they have to share that's come from their mess, that you will be able to see the same in your own life, that you will be able to look at your own messes and you will be able to find the message that you have, that you can learn from, that you can apply and live a life with more gratitude. So again, if you are interested in reading this issue, it comes out at the beginning of March and you can pre-order your copy at www.yourmessagemag.com. It is also linked in the show notes. And just a quick reminder that if you are already subscribed to the magazine, then you do not have to put in an order. Your magazine copy will be automatically shipped to you at the beginning of March because you're subscribed. But if you have not yet subscribed or you have just done like a one-time purchase in the past, then you will have to order or sign up for subscription. If you have any questions about any of this, obviously you can email me. I have my email linked in the show notes. But thank you so much, guys, for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I really hope that you get a hold of the spring issue. I can't wait for you all to get it in your hands and to read it. And definitely go check out Callie, go check out Abbey. I will have all of their links listed in the show notes of this episode that you can find them, contact them, whatever. But definitely get the magazine and read the amazing pieces that they wrote. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Your Message podcast. Did you enjoy today's episode? If so, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast and leave a review if you haven't already. This really helps with encouraging the podcast apps to share this with other people to maximize our impact so we can help as many people as possible. Also, if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to screenshot this episode and share it on Instagram. Make sure to tag me at Katie Lauren Graham so I can share in the excitement with you. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.